Welcome to another episode of Book versus Movie, where I take a movie adaptation and I compare it to its book source material to see how accurate it is. And for this episode, I'm going to be taking A Christmas Carol 2009, also known as the Jim Carrey Christmas Carol, and comparing it to A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Now, starting off with a couple of things that they got right. Starting off with the ghost of Jacob Marley. In the book, he actually has a bandage around his head. And at one point, Jacob Marley removes that bandage and his jaw falls because it's broken or something like that. I don't think it mentions what happened to his jaw, but when he removes the bandage, his jaw falls. Now, in the movie, they got this partially correct. So in the movie, he does remove the bandage and his jaw falls, but movie it is appears to have been an accident, while in the book it was done on purpose for whatever reason, I guess to freak out Scrooge. But either way, so partially correct. The Ghost of Christmas Past, moving on to the different ghosts, the Ghost of Christmas Past in the book is described as having like a flame on their head. And at one point, Ebenezer Scrooge asks the ghost to put the flame on his head out because it's bothering her it's disturbing him, understandably. Continuing on with the Ghost of Christmas Past, when Scrooge has his flashback of being at his school that he attended as a child. At one point in the book, his sister comes to visit him, and she tries to get him to come home, and she says, "Father is a lot kinder now," which I always thought, once I read that in the book, I always thought that was actually kind of an important detail, that it kind of at least possibly explains why Scrooge is the way that he is. So the fact that they put that in the movie is something I really like and really stood out because it, like I said, possibly explains why he is, and I think it's an important detail about his life. And it kind of saddens me that other movie adaptations of A Christmas Carol leave that scene out. So very happy that this one actually left it in. Um, and the last thing I'm going to mention as far as accuracies is the Ghost of Christmas Present. Moving on to Christmas Present now. He has children under his robe. Don't worry, it gets better. Not much better, but it does get better because I know children under the robe sounds a little weird, but bear with me for half a second. So in the book, that's something that actually happens in the book, and the children are meant to represent ignorance and want, and the fact that they put that in the movie, as disturbing as that is just another thing that shows that they're sticking to the source material. So I like it, as disturbing and as wrong as that is, the fact that it was in the book and they pulled it. All right, so now I'm going to talk about the inaccuracies that I found in the movie. And interestingly enough, most of these inaccuracies take place pretty much immediately after The Ghost of Christmas Present. So, like, the movie was doing really, really good, staying faithful to the book until just after The Ghost of Christmas Present dies. So it's almost like, in my mind, like the writer or writers behind writing this movie were, for whatever reason, fired, and then they hired on someone who had a vague understanding of how the book goes, and they took over because like it was super accurate, and then just went way off in left field, and it seems like they had a new writer on board that didn't know what the heck they were doing because of just how wild it went after they were done with the Ghost of Christmas Present. Okay, so first off, starting with the Ghost of Christmas Present, when he dies, because the Ghost of Christmas Present dies, anyone who's even remotely familiar with the story knows that that happens. He dies in a laughing fit. And while it does not specifically say in the book that he dies laughing or anything like that, in the scene, it is just straight up creepy and ridiculous. And honestly, the last like third of this movie, like where everything goes off the rails, like I said, is some straight up Christmas nightmare fuel, starting off with the Ghost of Christmas Present and his crazy laughing fit as he is dying. So moving on from the Ghost of Christmas Present onto the final ghost, the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. In the movie, he is depicted as more of a shadowy figure than anything, and in the book, he is described as a faceless, cloaked figure. So the fact that he's depicted as a shadow on walls and stuff like that is not accurate. Also, along with more of that freaking nightmare fuel, that Christmas nightmare fuel I was telling you about. Shortly after meeting the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, Scrooge is chased by a shadow horse carriage, and then he shrinks down to like the size of a mouse. And not only is it creepy, scary, and not even remotely accurate, it is just straight up ridiculous in my mind. Like I said, whoever took over for the last bit of the movie just I think they just had a vague understanding of the movie and just went way off in the left field. But now, the last thing that I'm going to say that really stood out about this movie is at the end, Bob Cratchit, who's basically giving the epilogue of the story, he says, Tiny Tim got well. Okay. Now, in the book, it says Tiny Tim who did not die. Here's the thing, though. If I had a choice of which line I like more, Tiny Tim who got well, or Tiny Tim who did not die. I would honestly, as wrong as it is, I actually prefer the movie's version of the line more because I always thought it was weird. Okay, before I even read this book and I saw other movie adaptations where the line was Tiny Tim who did not die. I always thought that was a weird line because I'd be like, he didn't die like ever. I mean, the movie takes place or the story takes place in the 1800s. It's now 2025. I'm pretty sure he's died by now. Okay, unless he's got immortality or something like that. And yeah, I know I'm like nitpicking and being petty and whatnot, but I always thought that was just a weird way to word things. He's like he didn't die ever, but with this alteration of Tiny Tim got well. Okay, yeah, he got better and then still died, eventually because that's what people do. So I like that line better, even though it's not accurate. I prefer that line. So anyway, so that's all I've got. Those are all the things that stood out. And yeah, I know that there are other things that the movie got right and wrong and whatnot, but if I mentioned every single little one, we'd be here all day. So I only mentioned the points that I felt stood out the most to me. But if you have read A Christmas Carol and you have seen A Christmas Carol 2009, and there are other points that you felt that I didn't mention that were like worth mentioning, whether they were accuracies or inaccuracies, by all means, comment them below. I'd love to read them. But anyway, that's it for me. So until next time, remember, nothing in life is free except for liking, commenting, and subscribing. See ya.